Hey, welcome to a new album review, and today we actually have Villagers of Ioannina City with Age of Aquarius, which is an album that arguably I did not know about, and it's a band that I have never heard before. This is, for all intents and purposes, my first interaction with them, and essentially the only thing I can say is look, I got this recommended multiple times throughout the past couple of months, even like years, I think. Like this album art, first of all, and just to start, the album art is absolutely killer. It's so fucking good. It's super like stylistic, I genuinely fucking love it. You always know that I appreciate a good album art, because I think it's really important for the albums, and I think it's really important for like the aesthetics and the atmosphere of the album. So I always enjoy when there's a lot of effort put into them, and this one is definitely no different. So because of that, I know that this got recommended to me multiple times because I very distinctly remember the album art of this specific album, but I never really clicked on it. I never like actually listened to it or anything like that. So like today I got it recommended and I was like, you know what, let's stop running away, let's actually give it a shot, let's see what this album is all about, let's see what this band is all about. So I decided to listen to it, and good thing I did. Apparently, look, I don't know when this album came out, so it's a bit hard for me to say, but the YouTube thing says that it was uploaded on 2019, so around 6 years ago, give or take. So I'm gonna trust YouTube on this one. I'm actually not sure if that's the release date or if it's just when it was uploaded to YouTube. Art for me, I should have probably researched this, that's my fault. But yes, essentially this is like an hour long album and it has 10 songs. And let me just say, it's very weird in terms of sounds, because honestly this is what happens when you combine like Tool and rock era Opeth, like that Sorcerer's Pale Communion era of Opeth. It's truly like bizarre, but it like works, you know what I mean? It's like, it's very, very good. On one side you definitely have a lot of this rock, especially like prog rock, you know what I mean, like this very not necessarily like math rock, but what was it called, like the early like rock type thing. I mean, it's sort of like a psychedelic rock, I think it's what's called. And essentially it's that, right? It's sort of that rock, but it has the grooviness of Tool, you know what I mean? Like, especially in the drums and bass, you actually see that a lot. Like, a lot of the songs in this album are very like groovy, especially at the beginning of the album. I feel that like towards the end, maybe not as strong of a groove and much more like focus on the rock part, but definitely at the beginning it's very like strong, very groovy, but it also has a lot of like rock parts to it. Yes, basically that's the vibe that it gave me. And interestingly enough, I don't think that in terms of especially prog that this album actually does as well as Tool or Opeth. In a way, this album doesn't have a lot of like progression throughout it. I would say that it's actually pretty consistent and remains pretty consistent all throughout. Like, a lot of the songs, in a way, that's something that I've noticed, songs kind of blend together, right? So like, if you heard like the first song, you've kind of heard them all, quote unquote, right? So there isn't definitely anything like super different between each song, but I think that's actually like good, because this album is definitely more focused on like the narrative aspect of it, and it's definitely more focused on giving you sort of a almost theatrical approach to it, like a theatrical imagining of it. It's definitely much more focused on building an atmosphere in a way, like it's what ISIS Panopticon, the Panopticon album from ISIS did, right? It wasn't so much about like actually throwing at you like really technical stuff or whatever. It was more about just establishing a sort of atmosphere to the album, right? And I think here, especially given the lyrics, at least like the little lyrics and the song titles that I was able to gather, it's definitely more of a narrative experience, I would say, than necessarily like a prog experience or whatever. I must say, like the intro of this, it's really cool though, that because a lot of the songs, especially at the beginning, aren't necessarily, they're not necessarily like proggy, but they definitely do take time like to get going. They definitely give themselves and afford themselves that sort of space to slowly build up and slowly give you this experience, and slowly speeding up over time until eventually like they pay off. They are definitely very good at doing that, especially at the beginning of the album is really great at doing that. And as the album progresses, sort of it gets a little bit more focused on the rock aspect than necessarily the groovy aspect or the prog aspect. Again, towards the end of the album, I didn't like it as much, I would say, but at the same time it's still very strong. Honestly, all in all, it's a very strong sound. It's a very cool thing. At some point I also started remembering that this is more like of a medieval metal type thing, especially with the what I assume to be the bagpipes. It sounded like bagpipes to me. I'm not entirely sure on that one, but definitely like sort of a medieval thing. And I mean, I understand why. Like, we're talking about things relating to gods, and we're talking about things relating to definitely having these this narrative be built on top of like sort of the followers of a god, and expecting a god to come and following him once he comes or whatever, right? There's definitely a lot of mythology inspired narrative in this album, and that's why like perhaps it's not as strong in the sounds necessarily, because it doesn't need the sounds to carry the narrative. I think that a lot of the sounds are more to establish the atmosphere of the narrative, whereas the lyrics definitely do deliver that narrative to you. So it's honestly a very strong album. Even the ending, I actually enjoy the ending quite a bit. First of all, I know that the first song is Welcome, and then the second song is Age of Aquarius. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know the distinction between the first and the second song. Like, the transition between them almost doesn't even exist, especially here, where it's like they're not two separate videos. They're in the same, because I heard it, because the thing that got recommended to me was like the full album stream in one video. So there isn't even the transition between song 1 and song 2 of the link loading or anything like that. It just straight up goes, right? There's no little silence, nothing. So I didn't even realize they were actually two different songs at the beginning, right? Because the transition was that smooth, and then we sort of have a little interlude of it's the halfway through the album, song 5 called Arrival, which is sort of like a little 2 minutes song, because it's where you're talking about Age of Aquarius and everything. It's sort of like, the arrival is supposed to be, or to mark, I guess, narratively speaking, the arrival of the entity, which here, again, I didn't pay super close attention to the lyrics, but I would say that it's Aquarius, which mythological figure, which is, why you have the astral signs things, because they're based on at least I think they are. I'm not sure. I'm not very strong with mythology. Anyway, the point is, here after that song, that interlude is actually really well made, because it actually changes the entire mood of the album. I mean, okay, it doesn't. The album is mostly still consistent. It's still the same thing, but it definitely changes a lot of the perspective, and it changes the mood of the album. Right? The album is still the same, but it changes the mood definitely. So that's why the first part of the album to me is different than the second part. The first part of the album is again much more about building up a song slowly and giving it space to build up to eventually get to the arrival, where then the second part of the album is not so much about, the songs are busier, the songs definitely have a much more focus on, and even the guitars and everything are so much more atmospheric. They play much more, I guess, vanilla, if you will, right? Because again, the entire mood just changes, and I really like that. And then towards the end, the last song is sort of like a little 2-minute outro song. It's very interesting from a sound perspective. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I think it does link really well to the 9th song of the album. Honestly, all in all, I can't say I'm a fan. I was actually really impressed with it. Again, especially at the beginning, it is very inspired by the grooviness of Tool, but with that rock inspired from Opeth type thing, right? It's very good. The second part of the album is much more I would say, quote unquote, vanilla rock. It's not vanilla rock necessarily, but it's definitely much more inspired by perhaps earlier bands than this. So yeah, but overall, even with that, incredibly strong album. I fucking love the art. As I mentioned, that's how I kind of remember that this got recommended to me multiple times. But yeah, like, it's incredibly strong album. I honestly, I'm gonna give it a very strong 9 out of 10, because that's where my vibe meter is right now. But quite frankly, I might bump the score up in the future. I don't know. I'm gonna see how this album grows on me. I'm gonna see if I get tired of it or if I keep appreciating it more. But yeah, definitely, like, if YouTube recommends you an album or something, listen to it, because usually it's a band recommendation, and I have lost count at how many like great albums I've encountered purely because YouTube just, or bands for that matter, purely because YouTube just decided to recommend me a song or recommend me an album from them. But yeah, that's pretty much it, and I'll see you tomorrow with a new album review.